First online business I've ever built, I failed miserably. That lesson, however, became one of the biggest lessons of my life. And now it's the very thing I help others do because pain taught me something. Your problem, your challenges, they come to make you stronger. They come to promote you, make you better, and a more capable person. But we can only do that by shifting our perspective and aligning our identity with who God says we are. That is when we're able to stand faithfully, courageously, and intelligently and face our problems and not run away from them. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you should never or stop running away from challenges, and you're going to walk away with the framework to finally go from pain to purpose to income. See, when I fail, I could have just called it a loss and walk away. I could have just looked at it as doom and gloom, as proof that this wasn't just for me. But instead, I went back. I looked at actually what happened. I watched others succeed doing the exact thing that I just failed at. And I asked God, why did they make it and I did not? Then I remembered the Bible verse, Revelation 12, verse 11, that says, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of the testimonies. And 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, that God will never give you more than what you can bear, and even so, He will make a way of escape. And also 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18, in everything give thanks. And by no means this was easy for me, but I tried it, and guess what? It worked because it's in the Bible, and God is not a man that He should lie. So when I put all of these scriptures together, I started to realize something. If I survive it, if it didn't take me out, then that means there is a testimony in there. There had to be a lesson buried in it because God doesn't allow us to go through something for nothing. No, He's not that kind of God. So I started to give God thanks. I said, Lord, thank you for bringing me through this. Thank you. Even though it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, I survived it and I am still here. And when I started to give Him thanks, my perspective began to shift. I stopped looking at what I lost and I started looking at where I went wrong. And then I realized that I did not fail. I successfully found out the ways that did not work for me. So let me ask you the same question I asked myself. What have you gone through? What are you currently walking through right now? Something that you probably haven't fully find your way through yet. You probably feel discouraged, frustrated, like this thing is bigger than you, that it came to take you out, but it didn't. Because God promised us that He will never give us more than what we can bear. And you're probably saying, Naomi, I hear you, but sis, I have gone through a lot. And it's really hard for me to see beyond the pain. So how do I practically shift my perspective? So here is the advice that I would give. You have to start looking at your problem and asking yourself questions like, what have I overcome? How can this help me to become a better person? What have I learned from this? Or what did this teach me? And how did this help me in any way, any little tiny, teeny ways? Just start looking at the problem and start asking yourself those questions. The answers probably won't come immediately, but if you keep asking yourself the questions, eventually they will. Just trust the process. You start saying things like, look, God brought me through it, and really and truly He did, because you're still here, you're still standing. So give Him thanks for that. And in that thanksgiving, your perspective starts to shift. Because when I look back at what I had gone through, I realized that my identity wasn't aligned with who God says I am. Really and truly, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. And that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned. That was the goal in the mind. And now the very thing I once failed at, the lesson I learned in my own pain, is the very thing I now use to help other kingdom women overcome the same exact thing. And that's when I realized your problem is not the end of your story. It is the raw material of your purpose. And pain doesn't have to stay pain. It doesn't have to keep being a wound in your flesh. The Bible tells us that God specializes in that exchange. Beauty for ashes, pain for purpose, and testimony from a trial. Your problem is not a coal mine, it is a gold mine. But a gold mine, you have to dig for the gold. But when you find it, it is worth everything. Your problems has gold buried in it. Lessons, direction, clarity. The exact blueprint for how to stand differently the next time. But you will never find it if you keep looking at the digging. In order for us to go from pain to purpose to income, the first thing we have to know that something has to shift. It's not your strategy, it's your perspective. You have to start seeing your pain differently, and you have to start seeing yourself differently. That pain didn't came to take you out. It came to make you stronger. It came to give you experiences. It came to give you knowledge that you couldn't have gotten any other way. Think about it. Every challenge you have gone through has made you more creative. It has made you a better problem solver, and it has built something in you that comfort never could have built. And here's why it matters: because of who God says you are. In Genesis 1, the very first thing God revealed about himself is that he is creator. Not his power first, not his authority first, his creativity. And he was creating from chaos. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God looked at the chaos and he created. If the first thing God told us about himself is that he is creator and he was creating from chaos, and we were made in his image and his likeness, then we are creators too, and we are designed to create from chaos. So your pain is not a detour, it is the raw material from which you're supposed to create. And he didn't stop there. He told us how to be fruitful, multiply, increase, and have dominion. That is not a suggestion, that is an instruction. So when our identity lines up with that, when we stop seeing ourselves as someone who survived something and start seeing ourselves as someone that God is building something through, that is when our pain become our purpose. That is when our pain actually become our purpose. It's all about shifting the perspective. Now, I went deeper on how to make this exact shift in the previous video, part 1 of this series, from pain to purpose to income. And if you haven't watched it as yet, by all means, make sure to watch it at the end of this video. The link is going to be in the description, because I lay the practical groundwork for everything that we're going to learn in this video. The next thing to recognize is that pain is your authority. The funny thing is that the people of the world know this. So let's look at how they operate. The entrepreneur who built a business around addiction recovery once lived through addiction. The woman who built a 7-figure business around divorce coaching walked through a devastating divorce herself. And the man who built a fitness empire was once one of the most unhealthy person in the room. So guess what? They did not wait until the pain was distant and comfortable. They turned it around and built something from it. And here's the funny thing. They're doing this without the Holy Spirit. They're doing this without the Word. They're doing this without heaven backing them up. So how much more should we, the people of the light, be doing this? The people who God assigned to you, the people He's calling you to serve, they do not need someone who has read about their struggle. They need someone who has walked through it. Your financial pressure, your season of lack, your midnight prayers of when you did not know how you were going to pay the bills, your shame around money, your confusion about how faith and finance were supposed to work, those are not liabilities. Those are your credentials. Because the woman sitting in that exact place right now, she does not need another expert with a framework. She needs someone who can look her in the eyes and say, I have been exactly where you are right now, and I found a way through it. You cannot buy that authority. You cannot study your way into it, and you cannot get certified for it. God built that in you through the very fire you have been through. So the first shift is this: stop seeing your pain as something you merely survive, and start seeing it as the very thing that qualifies you. Your pain is your authority. The third thing to realize is that your pain is your assignment. And here's what I mean by that. God doesn't waste anything. Every season you have walked through, He was paying attention and He was writing something down while you were living it. So let's take a look at Joseph. He was sold by his own brothers, falsely accused, and he was forgotten in prison for years. But when he finally stood before Pharaoh, he didn't have some random boring message. He had the exact specific wisdom for the exact famine that was coming, because he had lived through betrayal, false accusation, and years of waiting on God in the dark. His pain wasn't wasted. It became the very thing that qualified him to save a nation. And that is what an assignment looks like. It's not random, and it's not separate from what you have walked through. It's built from you. So when you look at your own story, the financial pressure, the seasons you didn't understand, the prayers that felt unanswered, that was not just something you survived, that was training. That was the exact preparation for the exact people that God is assigning you to reach. So the question is not whether you have something to offer. The question is whether you will build with what God has already walked you through. I really hope you're getting this, because this is just hitting me on all sides and it's so powerful. I am getting it. So I hope it's doing the same thing for you. So let me know in the comments if it's resonating with you. Let me know if I'm talking to the right people and I'm not just talking to myself over here. Number 4, your pain is your income. So now we get to the one that most people in this space never say out loud. Your pain is your income. It's not just your testimony. It's not just your message. It is your income, or can become your income. And I'm not saying that in a sleazy, cheesy way. I'm not telling you to go tell people your problem and try to make money from it. I know that for some of you, something just tied up in your chest when I said that. And I want to name exactly what that is, because it is the root that keeps everything else from working. So here is what that is. It's a belief. It's a belief that says profiting from your calling is ungodly. As kingdom women, we serve, we give, we sacrifice. That wanting financial increase from your ministry means you are doing it for the wrong reason. And here is what I want to say to that. Yes, we are called to give, we are called to serve, and we are called to sacrifice. But here's my question. What do you give from? What do you serve from? And what do you sacrifice from? If we never build, if we never make profit, if we never multiply what God has placed in us, what exactly are we giving from? What exactly are we serving from? And what do we have to sacrifice? Basically nothing, because you cannot pour from an empty vessel. And the kingdom woman who refused to build, she's not humble, she's empty. And I know this because I've lived it. There was a season in my life where everything seems to be going in the wrong direction at the same time. Financial pressure, business not growing the way I expected it would, and circumstances stacking up one after another. But the very thing I thought was consuming me, the financial strain, the identity confusion, my pain around money and finance, that became the foundation to the very thing I am doing now. Framework I teach came from that fire. The woman I now serve are the woman I once was. The transformation I walk them through is the transformation God walked me through first. My pain did not just become my purpose, it became my income. And here is the root level shift I needed before any of that was possible. I had to believe that I was allowed to. Not just that my talent was valuable, not just that my message was needed. I had to believe at the identity level that kingdom income is not in conflict with kingdom calling, that wanting financial increase is not selfish, it is obedience, that building wealth around my calling is not compromise, it's stewardship. Let's look at Deuteronomy 8 verse 18. God says, "It is I who give you the power to get wealth, so he may establish his covenant with us." So wealth is not the enemy of your calling, it is the fuel of it. Your pain, your gifts, your problem, your challenges that you have overcome, they're not yours to protect, they're yours to multiply. So here is the question I want to leave with you. What would happen if you, backed by heaven, filled with the Holy Spirit, carrying a God-ordained story, finally decide to build from it? Because here is the thing, your pain is your authority, your pain is your assignment, and your pain stored, multiplied, deployed is your income. That is not greed, that is obedience. And when your identity aligns with who God says you are and what you are allowed to carry, your pain not just become your purpose, it becomes your income. And if today's message resonated with you, if you felt something shift while you were watching this, I want to give you your next step by inviting you to take the faith and finance alignment check. It's free, and in a few minutes you will uncover that hidden belief that has been blocking your financial breakthrough, not at the surface level, but at the root identity level. And you will get to walk away with a clear picture of your next faith aligned step. Because knowing your pain is your purpose is one thing, but knowing exactly what has been keeping you from stepping into it, that is where everything changes. So the link is in the description box. Go ahead and take the challenge. If today's video spoke to you and it has blessed you, remember to like the video, share it with someone else who needs to hear this powerful message right now. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell because you don't want to miss out on what is coming next. Your next video will be up for next week, Thursday. God bless you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.